Welcome to Arborea-Prime. The Federation xenobiologists call it a hyperdense botanical wonder. The grunts call it the forest that follows you. On any other death world, you watch the shadows for teeth and claws. Here you watch the landscape itself. Because on Arborea-Prime, the trees are alive in a way that defies terrestrial biology. They are the arboreous ambulant, the root walkers. They don't move fast. You'll never see one sprint. They move with the patience of geology. When you set up camp at night, the tree line is 500 meters away. When you wake up for third watch, it's 300 meters away. By dawn, you are encircled by ancient, iron-hard timber giants that weren't there yesterday. And then the ground beneath you begins to soften. Massive, subterranean root systems, thick as subway tunnels, act like tentacles. They don't snatch you, they undermine you. They drag your whole camp, tents, vehicles, and screaming men, down into the mulch to be slowly, agonizingly digested over weeks by the acidic soil. When Forward Operating Base Gamma completely disappeared off the map overnight, swallowed whole without a single distress shot fired, the brass realized they couldn't send soldiers to fight a forest. They sent loggers. They sent the 7th Arboreal Demolition Squad. The Lumberjacks. We don't respect the forest. We don't commune with nature. We are industrial exterminators. We view these ancient, semi-sentient god trees as one thing, timber waiting to be processed. Our gear isn't tactical, it's heavy industrial. We wear reinforced blast logging suits meant to withstand falling redwoods. Our primary weapon is the Mark IV Titan saw, a two-handed, fusion-powered rotary chainsaw with diamond-tipped teeth designed to cut through ship armor. It doesn't hum, it shrieks like a banshee in a grinder. Our sidearms are thermite axes that superheat to 4,000 degrees on impact. I am Captain Sawdust Grady, and I'm here to clear-cut this nightmare. We dropped into the last known location of FOB Gamma via heavy-lift shuttles. The canopy was so dense we had to cut our own landing zone mid-air, dropping seismic charges to clear a space before we even touched the ground. The moment our steel boots hit the loam, we felt it. The vibration. A deep, subsonic thrumming in the soil. The forest knew we were here. All right, lumberjacks, listen up. I bellowed over the idling roar of 5 Titan saws. The trees around us are already moving to box us in. They think we're fertilizer. I want you to show them they're just firewood. If it's taller than you, cut it down. If it has roots, sever them. We are carving a 6-lane highway straight to Gamma's position. Rev 'em up. The noise was deafening as the squad engaged their saws simultaneously. The air filled with the smell of two-stroke exhaust and ozone. We advanced in a wedge formation, a walking wall of rotating diamond teeth. The first contact wasn't subtle. A sapling, a tree only 50 feet tall with bark like jagged iron, suddenly shifted its weight, leaning menacingly over our path. Its roots burst from the ground like constrictor snakes, aiming for my point man, Knots McGinty. Timber. McGinty yelled, hefting his massive Titan saw. He didn't dodge the roots, he stepped into them. He swung the saw in a low arc. The blade hit the thickest root with a screech that made my teeth ache. Wood chips the size of dinner plates sprayed the air. The root didn't just get cut, it was obliterated, severed in a spray of thick amber-colored sap that hissed where it hit the hot engine of the saw. The tree shuddered, its balance destroyed. It began to topple toward us. Drop it, I ordered. 3 of us turned our saws upward, meeting the falling giant mid-air. The combined force of 3 industrial chainsaws tore through the trunk in seconds. The tree collapsed around us in a shower of leaves and heavy timber, reduced to logs before it even hit the ground. We pushed harder. The forest was reacting now, the slow creep turning into an aggressive siege. The trees around us were leaning in, their branches interlocking above us to blot out the sun, creating a claustrophobic tunnel of wood. The ground became a churning sea of mud and roots. They're trying to pull us down. Seismic activity is spiking under our feet, reported Vance, checking his wrist-mounted scanner while kicking a grasping root tendril away with his spiked boot. Plant the thumpers. Disrupt their rhythm. I commanded. Vance slammed a heavy seismic generator into the mud and activated it. The machine began to pound the earth with rhythmic, high-impact shockwaves designed to confuse the root walker's subterranean navigation senses. The ground around us convulsed as the roots recoiled from the vibrations. It bought us breathing room. We continued our advance, leaving a trail of devastation behind us. We were a mechanized blight, a plague of steel and fire moving through their pristine, carnivorous garden. We cut through ironwood trunks 4 meters thick. We used thermite axes to burn through dense knots of thorny undergrowth that tried to snare us. The air was thick with sawdust, smoke, and the sickly sweet smell of burnt sap. We reached the coordinates of FOB Gamma. It was gone. In its place was a massive depression in the earth, and standing over it was the Elder. It was the largest living thing I had ever seen. A root walker 300 feet tall, its trunk immense and gnarled, covered in moss and scars from centuries of existence. Its bark formed patterns that looked disturbingly like twisted, screaming faces. It was the center of the web, the thing that had eaten the base. As we approached, the ground around the Elder erupted. It wasn't just roots this time, it was pulling up the buried wreckage of FOB Gamma to use as armor and weapons. Twisted pieces of HAB modules and crushed vehicles, dragged up from the deep, were integrated into its root structure. It's armored up. Saws won't cut through that bulkhead plating on its base. McGinty yelled over the comms. Then we burn it out. Thermite axes up front. Saws on the flanks. We have to girdle the bastard, cut off its connection to the ground. I roared, charging forward. The Elder attacked. Massive roots, tipped with jagged pieces of a crushed barracks module, swung at us like wrecking balls. I dodged left, the wind of the impact nearly knocking me over. The root slammed into the ground where I had been, burying itself 10 feet deep. Now, hit the trunk. I reached the base of the giant. I pulled my thermite axe, cracked the ignition cap, and swung it with everything I had. The blade, glowing white-hot at 4,000 degrees, slammed into the thickest part of the Elder's trunk, right above the armored root ball. It didn't chop, it melted its way in. The sap inside the tree flash-boiled, erupting in a geyser of steam. The tree let out a sound I'll never forget, a deep, resonant, subterranean groan that shook the fillings loose in my teeth. It was the sound of a mountain dying. Saws. Finish it. The rest of the squad moved in, flanking the massive trunk. 5 Titan saws bit into the wood simultaneously, creating a ring of destruction around the base. The noise was apocalyptic. We were showered in burning sap and splinters. The tree fought back, shaking violently, branches the size of buses raining down around us. We kept cutting. We were the Lumberjacks and we had a quota to fill. Finally, with a sound like a cracking tectonic plate, the Elder's structural integrity failed. The massive trunk splintered right where we had girdled it. Clear out. She's coming down. I screamed, sprinting away from the base. The Elder root walker fell. It took 10 seconds for it to hit the ground. The impact was like a meteor strike. The shockwave flattened the surrounding forest for 100 meters, knocking us all off our feet. A cloud of dust and debris rose into the twilight sky. When the dust settled, the silence returned. The thrumming in the ground was gone. The surrounding trees, deprived of their central node, seemed to go dormant, retreating back into standard biology. We stood up, dusting the sawdust from our armor. Where the Elder had stood, there was now a massive crater. In the center of the churned earth, we could see the crushed remains of FOB Gamma finally exposed to the air again. There were no survivors. The soil had already done its work. Mission objective complete, Captain. Path cleared. Target located, Vance said, his voice flat. I looked at the fallen giant, a 300-foot deity of the forest reduced to lumber by human stubbornness and fusion engines. I spat a wad of sawdust-filled saliva onto the ground. Pack it up, Lumberjacks, I growled, slinging my cooling Titan saw onto my back. Let's call in the recovery birds. And tell command to send bigger saws next time. This wood is tough. Humanity had proven the ultimate truth of the green hell. Nature may be ancient, powerful, and hungry. It may view us as intruders and prey. But we are the species that invented the chainsaw. We don't adapt to the environment, we clear-cut it. On Arborea-Prime the trees used to walk. Now they're just firewood. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. If it bleeds sap, we can kill it. If you enjoyed this industrial-grade deforestation of a nightmare planet, smash that like button and rev your engines. Comment below. What's your preferred weapon against a giant killer tree, fire or a really big saw? Subscribe for the next story. The timber is felled. The forest is quiet. The quota is met.